Retired Field Marshal Abdel Fattah al-Sisi campaigned under the slogan, "Long live Egypt," and if he wins this week's presidential election, as most polls suggest he will be called on to restore security and revive the economy. His only challenger in the race, leftist politician Hamdeen Sabahy, has also promised Egyptians a better life with the creation of new jobs, housing and healthcare. Whomever is announced the next leader of Egypt faces a huge challenge of rebuilding a nation that's faced turmoil over the last 3 years. CCTV's Robert Nagila joins us now from Cairo with the latest. And Robert, how has the election been proceeding so far?
Well, the situation is much as we have seen over the last couple of days, perhaps even worse. It's what you would actually describe as a trickle. Now, there have been some people coming in to vote at most polling stations. However, it's one or two every so often. It's not what was expected, despite the fact that authorities have put in some measures to try and get more people to come in. For example, public transport is free, the extension of the voting hours, extension by an extra day, but still, we're witnessing voter apathy. Now, at this particular moment, we've got about 3 hours to go before polling stations finally shut down, close around the whole country. Now, immediately after that, then the vote counting will begin, and we expect to start getting preliminary results at some point towards early morning into tomorrow. I can also tell you that celebrations have already begun. Well, actually, the celebrations began 2 days ago, because every night at Tahrir Square there have been crowds gathering, celebrating, and already where I am at this particular moment, we've had vehicles passing by, honking their horns. This election was never in doubt. It was a foregone conclusion before it even began. Al-Sisi was expected to win. However, it's now a matter of numbers. Now, this was never going to be an issue, according to some observers I've spoken to. However, inadvertently, it does appear that his campaign team and the government itself, authorities, made this an issue with some of the measures they put in. They say that Sisi would have comfortably won, and they knew he would do that. There was no problem at all. But the fact that now the numbers have become an issue, that appears to be what everyone is focusing on. Now, remember that former President Morsi was elected by about 13 million votes. So a lot of people will be looking to see if Sisi can actually attain that figure or even higher. Now, a lot of people feel that part of the reason why they're trying to get a lot of Egyptians to come in and vote is a way sort of to legitimize his presidency. So we'll just have to wait and see until the final count has been done and figures are given out to see what, I beg your pardon, what the figures will be. However, I can tell you that by last night, his election team and election officials were estimating that about 35% of Egyptians had already voted. Now, we're talking about 54 million registered voters. Now, that's a lot. So whether he can actually get to at least half that number is doubtable. But if he can pass Morsi, which is what his people will be looking to do, then he will be satisfied with that.
Okay, well, a lot of apathy, as you say, and we know that this election has not been enjoying universal support in Egypt, not by any means. Have there been any kind of demonstrations or protests against this poll that's taking place?
Sorry, I didn't get that question too clearly, but yeah, you're right. There has been a lot of voter apathy, not just here in Cairo, but across the whole country. Now, that is for a number of reasons. Part of it is that you know that the Muslim Brotherhood is banned from this country from any political activities. So a lot of the supporters are not taking part in this. But you also have a huge section of the youth who are not part of the Muslim Brotherhood, who are also not voting. Now, we did speak to quite a few of them this morning, and they say that as far as they're concerned, this election was a foregone conclusion. Their voice is not being heard, their concerns are not being addressed. That's part of the reason why they're not taking part. However, it has been quite an organized election in some respects, in terms of security, for example, especially in the lead up to this election. Egypt was facing quite a few security challenges, and there was a fear that militants would target some of these polling stations and election officials as well. Thus far, there have been some blasts over the last couple of days, however, not much effect, and the election has gone on largely peaceful.
Now, as you say, a lot of Egyptians are not voting because they say that their concerns are not being met. But when one looks across the whole country, I mean, what are the issues on which this election is being fought? What are the main issues that concern Egyptian people?
Well, again, you have to look at this from two separate schools of thought. Number one, there's huge unemployment in this country. You've got security issues as well. Inflation is very high. And these are some of the things that Egyptians would like to see being met. Now, we've heard from Sisi, and he has spoken on a couple of occasions where he has said that these are some of the things that he wants to address. However, when you speak to those who are not taking part in this election, especially the youth, they say that they feel that what they were fighting for during the revolution has already been swept under the carpet. Now, that their revolution has been stolen from them, and they believe that their concerns are not going to be addressed. Now, they would like those concerns addressed, and they feel that their concerns are not parallel with what the candidates have in mind. So that's a major sticking point at this particular moment. We will have to wait and see how they go about, how the new administration by Sisi, who is widely expected to take this, to become the next president of this country, how he intends to address this. But perhaps before even that, the biggest challenge of all that he faces is uniting this country. Remember that the very fabric of Egyptian society is divided at this particular moment, and he now needs to unify the country. That's a very difficult task, considering that at this moment, a lot of people feel that he has already alienated a section of the society itself. And here I'm talking about the Muslim Brotherhood supporters, the youth as well, who do not want a military administration, or rather a military-backed government in power.
Okay, Robert, very quickly, I've got about 20 seconds. What happens next? When can we expect the result to be announced?
Well, we expect to start seeing preliminary results from very early Thursday morning. However, the election authorities have until the 30th of June to make a final announcement on who the candidate is. Like I said, it's a foregone conclusion, but we expect that will be much, much earlier.
Okay, thanks, Robert. Robert Nagila there reporting from Cairo.